Hey, welcome to another Ask Scanner School live YouTube session. I want to thank everybody who's watching us live tonight. If you're catching us on a replay, again, I want to thank you so much for catching us on the replay. For anybody watching live, just ask me your question down in the comments section in whatever medium you're watching us on, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We do have a chat area that is set up that funnels everything together. So on any of those platforms, just leave me a comment below and we will see it. Over on... let's see, over here on YouTube, I'm already seeing Wayne is in. How you doing, Wayne? Arthur got you in on as well. And then, let's see, I got you also on the other side, it looks like. And then also Ray, good to see you on there tonight. Also, we have our extra credit members over on Zoom. So if you're an extra credit Patreon supporter, you can join the discussion over there. And also we have the monthly member meetup over on Zoom after this wraps up over here on the social medias. So let's see. I got a couple people coming in here now. Jim, Arthur got you in. Jeff, Kenneth, and then Glenn, is that you? And then Mike, Les, and then we got Chris also in there. So quite a few people over there on that as well. And don't forget, I got you muted on Zoom so I don't get the feedback. So here's how we work this evening. So if you got a question, go ahead into the comment section below and just start asking your questions. That's how we do it, rapid fire for the next 30 minutes or so. Let's see. Again, we've got Jenny's over here, and then over there, it looks like he'll be going over there. Philip is in from Aberdeen, Washington, and also David is listening in from Chicago. So good to see you all in here tonight. Let's see what we got. Let's go ahead and we got a new banner, so we'll put this up here as well. Those of you who do not know, also on the first Tuesday of the month on our podcast, we also answer your questions. So down below, you can look at our voicemail number, which is a local number here in the U.S., and if you're outside the U.S., you can use the link at scannerschool.com/ask. That'll leave you to either a form or also a SpeakPipe link where you can ask a question. And the good thing is if you ask me your question via our 516 number or via SpeakPipe, we'll put you in a running for a free tutoring session. So there is that. We got Chris and Jeff and also Kenneth and let's see. We got things moving around pretty quick over there again. All right. So I don't see any questions coming in yet. So what we'll do is I'll give you a rundown what's been going on over here while we wait for some questions to come in. And let me move this one over to here. So we have been, we've been busy on vacation for last week. We'll do a podcast episode on that one, but I went out to Atlantic City and took a couple of radios with me. And with some decent listening, we had, hotel security, the casino security, of course, housekeeping, which is, we need more towels on, floor 60, whatever it is. But it was definitely really cool to hear some casino security. They had some people who were trespassed, and they had basically a bulletin to say this person now just stepped on the property, that they need to go and make sure they are escorted nicely outside of the casino area. Also, they had somebody that had a medical emergency outside the casino, and again, it was something that happened more than once apparently, and security was right on top of that as well. Went out there without windows, basically. I was testing my limit, so to speak. So we took out our SDS 200, we took out the TRX-1, and we also took with us the 436 to play along. Also, on top of all that, we brought our Android tablet and we ran SDR++ into an Airspy, which was really the first time I forced myself over to use that. And before, it was just kind of playing around with it and just seeing how things go. And also, I had my MacBook with me running SDR trunk. So we were completely off of a Windows environment, no DSD+, no Unitrunker, no SDR console, really running, keep myself on my toes to see what I can hear and what I could pick up. So it was a good trip. Radio-wise, it was a good trip just to get out of Dodge and to be somewhere. We also caught a rather exciting, which I'll probably post later, if I can find the playback now, I can do it as well. But we had a really interesting conversation recorded on this right here, the TRX-1. Sounds like Newegg Township, which was just south of where I was staying. if my geography is correct, was doing they were doing a drill, and they actually had a firefighter down drill with a Mayday, and they sent the RIT team in to rescue the down firefighter. So it was really good listening for that. Don't think I'll be able to find it here on the fly, but maybe later on in the Patreon group we'll pull that in as well. But we'll do a podcast episode probably next month to go through that. Let's see if we got any other questions coming in while I'm sitting here rambling. Joe P is in from the Southern California desert. Good to have you in. And that's really it. So we're kind of starving for questions this month. Let's go on to what you're going to expect on the podcast while I wait for more questions to come in here. We've got all the podcasts for July have been recorded already, which is nice. I'm finally a month ahead on everything. So everything that's in for July is in the books. We're starting to feed that over and funnel it over to the editor, so we can start getting that back early. And we're trying to stick with staying now a month in advance. So this week I will be writing all of August's podcast episodes and hopefully recording them this weekend, and I can really start relaxing and enjoying my summer. No, just kidding. We got other things that we have to do, like work on training courses and other things that have been in the catalog for way too long that need to happen. So there is that. Jeff, where are you supposed to post your questions? I think you just figured it out, Jeff. So there you go. Go ahead, Jeff, and drop your question right in there, and we'll get it. That's over in our Patreon chat over there. Richie's asking, would that have been Egg Harbor Township? Yes, it would have been Egg Harbor Township. I was listening to the Atlantic County trunk system, and it was the Egg Harbor Township fire talk group that I was listening to. Ray is asking, what can I put in my BC-125 AT if shootings happen but not in your town? Well, it would all depend, Ray. First and foremost, you'd want to have the police department in there if they're not encrypted. There will be a lot of activity happening on there. If it doesn't stay on the dispatch channel, it would move over to a tactical channel. Now, again, chances are very good that tactical channels would be encrypted, but in the oddball cases that they are not, you would be able to listen to any activity over there. Next thing you'd want to listen to would be aviation. If you can grab them. Aviation is going to get the dispatch. They have to go out and be dispatch and to fall back to whatever channel they're working on, so whether it be the tactical channel or the dispatch channel. Another channel you're going to want to listen to is your higher level PD channel. So if you have a countywide all-call channel, a citywide channel like NYPD, they've got the citywide 1 through 4, and if something happens on a precinct or borough channel, they will rebroadcast it over onto one of the 4 citywide channels. Also would probably go out on the SOD channel and probably a traffic channel as well. Another thing you'd want to listen to is your Medcom channels. Medcom channels are typically not encrypted, and depending where you are, basically, most of the ones I have seen have been not encrypted, and you would be able to hear who's coming into the hospital. So it would be generic information such as 30-something-year-old male, gunshot wound to the abdomen, vitals are stable, yellow tag, green tag, something like that to indicate the trauma level of the person coming in. And that would at least give you a heads up as to what hospitals will start getting to be busy. You'll hear from the hospitals if now they're starting to become overloaded, if they have to divert, or if anything coming in for this is going to be going over to the hospital. Likewise, you're going to want to listen to any of the media channels. The media channels are going to start to become a buzz and very active with updates on the fly as to what's happening, what they are hearing. So you'd want to listen to some of those as well. Channels most likely would be like IFB links if you have those, buff groups, something like that. What else would you be listening to? OEM, if it gets to be really serious and it becomes an MCI or mass casualty, chances are they would run a OEC, OEM, something like that, may be deployed and may be active as well. So those are all different things that you can listen to. Again, it's going to depend on what area you're in, what's encrypted, what's not encrypted. You've got a 125 AT, so a lot of stuff that you may be able to or may want to listen to is on a trunk system. So a lot of different things that you may want to prepare for. But it's always good to have those banks set up and ready to go. This way, when it does hit the fan, all you got to do is unlock that bank and go at it. So good question, Ray. Thanks for breaking the ice tonight. Let's see. Jeff is saying, just trying to discover the two-tone frequencies for your local emergency services. You got a few SDRs to work with. The dispatch goes out on a dispatch-only channel, which is very busy. Jeff, no need to apologize. This is something we've talked about and covered in Scanner School, but it has been years since we've actually touched on this topic for the podcast. And there's other things out there that, yeah, we can revisit, and this is definitely one of those. So, in fact, it's funny you bring that up because right here on a piece of paper, I have two tones for my local fire department that I just decoded the other night. So what ended up happening was it wasn't too late at night, but tones go out, and then I hear a new set of tones that I've never heard before. And it was Company 2 duty tones. Now I have to go through my duty tone list and find out, is this a tone that I've heard before and not programmed in my pager, or is this something that, needs to be added in. So I keep a spreadsheet of all my tones for the county because I am like that. And how do you use them? How do you figure them out, right? What do you do with them? So what I typically do is if it's on something I'm recording, because I record everything because you never know when you need to go back to something, I use an app on my phone called Two Tone Detect. And not sure if it's still a freebie or not, but it's in the App Store. Let's see if I can find it. It's called, Radio ID. I'm sorry. It's called Radio ID. That's the old app. And if you can see it on the camera, this is kind of what it looks like. There we go. I know there's a bit of a glare on there. But what ends up happening is when the tones come over the air, this application actually decodes them. And what you see on screen are basically a history of all the tones that I have used and decoded. And if you can tell, the UV meter on the bottom is going up and down because as I'm speaking, it's picking it up because it's using the microphone on my phone to grab those. Now, it's going to round it to the nearest Motorola paging tone. So if your department's using GE or Plectron, Fast Plectron, or something that's not part of the Motorola P2 stack or QC2 stack, this will get you ballpark. This will probably get you close enough that your pagers or your software is going to work. If it doesn't, you may need to fine-tune it. You can go into software like Audacity and analyze the WAV files and find the tones that way. But, yeah, this is definitely something that not only can we go back and revisit on a podcast episode, but also on a YouTube video because we can do that as well. Software like SDR Trunk will actually show you the tone pair that is coming through as it decodes the tones. I actually discovered that when I was down in Atlantic City because we don't have two-tone paging on P25 up here. But I'll do that through there as well. And you can use software like Two-Tone Detect then to also do stuff and magic with the two tones as they come through. Your scanner can also decode the tone. So if you leave it on a countywide or a two-tone list there, you put your scanners set up for the dispatch frequency, and then you leave the two tones to 0, what ends up happening is the pager is going to display the first two tones that it hears, and you can lock those into memory. And then when you lock those into memory, then the next time those tones come across, your scanner will act like a pager as well. So those are different ways that you can use tones on your scanner and with software and with your phone to kind of figure out what's going on. Good question, Jeff. And we can talk about that also after we do that as well. Let's see. Going back to the chat here. Let's see what we got here. Phoenix is in, I've relocated to Jacksonville, Florida. Are there any contacts? Scrolling around here. Are there any contacts in my area? Still want to get my ham. Phoenix, I don't know if you're just looking to see if anybody is watching or listening that's in the area, but, if you have a question about, what might be there, we can definitely take a look at RadioReference and see what you could listen to, unless you're just looking to see if there's anybody else in the area. So if you're in the area of Jacksonville, Florida, let Phoenix know. Reef Mimic wouldn't mind seeing a visual videos explaining steps on using two SDRs with SDR Trunk. Reef, I am going to write that down because we can definitely add that to the list of things to do. So YouTube would be two SDRs with trunk, with SDR trunk. And I would show you now, except my Windows computer only has my Airspy hooked up to it. I didn't hook up the other receivers. But it's basically, as soon as you load up SDR trunk, it's going to find any receivers that you have hooked into there. And basically, just start up any control channel, and SDR trunk is going to take the resources available. So if you want to use a second SDR for a second control channel, you can just go ahead and just grab that and force it over. But we can go through that on a video. I wrote it down, and we'll add that into the black hole. I mean, the bucket of videos that I have to do. So, will I be doing a how to search the FCC database in the future? Another good idea there. So that came from IB Traveler. So we'll do that one as well. YouTube FCC search. Good questions. In fact, I did do a video on my YouTube channel on how to do that in the new RadioReference database. So let's keep going through questions here, and then we'll circle back to some of these if we have time, and I'll show you how to do a couple of these things if we don't have any questions and we're trying to fill in some spots here. But yeah, we can do an FCC search on here as well. Fuzz the Pie Guy, thumbs up to you. Good to see you in there. And Fuzz, we got to sync up again. I know you and I had some plans. We gotta make that happen. Let's see what else we got here. Richie's saying, next time you go to Atlantic City, it's a great spot to get Cape May County as well as Burlington and Ocean County. Also, U.S. Coast Guard helos fly out of Egg Harbor Township. I did see a nice helicopter flying around. I think it was. I'm trying to remember what the make would be on it. I'm gonna insult anybody who's big in aviation and make a fool of myself, so I won't say that. But it was definitely a black military style helicopter flying northbound up Atlantic coastline there. And yeah, I was pretty surprised how well reception was. I had a feeling that where I was staying, I was at the Tropicana. Must have been pretty close because I had no issues receiving anything, even with antennas off. I was still picking up plenty of stuff. So good stuff out there in Atlantic City. Good listening. Was really hoping too. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, with radios everywhere you looked. Even those electric trams that go up and down the Broadwalk, they all had radios on them. Christina is saying, are there any scanners that record all audio for playback? And if not, do you think that will happen in the future? Christina, plenty of scanners do that. And just right in front of me, TRX-1 will do that. SDS 100 and 200 do that. 436 does it. Home Patrol does that. 536 HP, SDS 200, TRX2, they all do that. They all store it away a card. So you can set them up per talk group, per frequency to record. You can set them up that they record everything, all transmissions. That's what I did to my TRX-1 when I had that with me in Atlantic City because I had a couple things going on and I wanted to make sure I was able to hear things. So let me see if I can go through here and scan, set, search, set clock, playback. There it is. Let's see if I can grab. No, it's not in here. Oh, that stinks. Well, I know I recorded it, but it's not it's not here now in my playback. So I have to see what happened to that. But anyway, yeah, this will record. They all record to a micro SD card. So the bigger the card that you have, the more recordings that you can do. So that's in there. So yeah, like Broadcastify does. Slightly different though, because this is only going to record what you're hearing at the time. So whatever's coming out of the speaker is what you're going to hear. Broadcastify does a little bit different. It's like an ingest server. So what it basically has is a feed that comes from like SDR trunk or Unitrunker or trunking scanner. And that basically allows the SDRs to queue up the audio or to receive multiple frequencies at the same time. And that's how it ingests all of that audio at one time without missing a transmission. So that's how that happens. It might have been a Blackhawk, probably. So that's how that would be done. And Christina, I'm working on something right now for Suffolk County. So I've been playing around with the computer behind me, and listening to the Suffolk P25 system, and I've kind of started breaking down Suffolk PD, so each one would be its own stream, and if we can get that running over on our website at w2le.net, that will be something you'll see probably this summer heading over to our live scanner feeds over there. Let's see what else we got coming in here. Let's see. Are there tone frequencies listed in the RadioReference database? That all depends, basically, about who's adding the stuff. I have the tones listed on my website for Nassau County and Suffolk County. It's my own personal list that I have put together over the years. I'm kind of migrating that over to Google Sheets, so it's a little bit easier to get published. But there are some tones in the wiki on RadioReference, but not every region has tones published. Let's see. Yeah, Fuzz is answering that question for you too. If you don't have, you can do that definitely with a Pi. You can also do it with Trunk SDR. Would probably run on a Pi. Fuzz would have a better answer on that one. But it's Java based, so it should run on anything that Java can run on. It's just a matter of are there enough resources to do with it what you want to do with it. So that's what ends up happening there. Let's see. How can I get a person to start through broadcasting on Broadcastify? Greg is asking. You can basically just apply. Go to broadcastify.com and be a feed source, and you click the application on there, and they'll help you get set up as far as the software and the information to link into it. You're going to need to have all your hardware, though. You're going to have the scanner, the computer on all the time, a way to interface that scanner into the computer. But if you're looking to reach out to somebody who's running a feed, there is an option in there to report an issue with a feed or leave a comment with the feed down there as well. See, Reef is saying, should I invest in an Airspy R2 or an SDR Play platform? Do I need two SDRs for trunking for SDR trunk? So that's a yes-no style question. So the Airspy R2 is going to give you 10 megahertz of sampling only if you plug it directly into your computer. You're going to get 5 megahertz at best if you plug it into a USB hub. The same with the Airspy Mini. The Airspy Mini is going to give you 3 megahertz if you plug into a hub, 6 megahertz if you plug directly into the USB hub. And the SDR Play, I'm not sure. I know SDR Play I've used with just other pieces of software. Now, do you need two SDRs for running trunking SDR trunk? That's a yes-no question. So what ends up happening is the SDR can only receive a certain amount of real estate, right, from point A to point B, whether it be 2.04 megahertz wide or 3 megahertz or 6 megahertz, right? And what you have to do is you have to go on RadioReference and look and see how wide that frequency range is that you're going to be using, right? So let's take a quick look here at an example, all right? We might as well start using, RadioReference and doing some live screen shares. So I'm going to transition this over here. We're going to come here, and we are going to look at RadioReference. So I'm going to browse, and I'm going to go to just where I know. So I go, oh, look, somebody updated it. Look at this. Somebody stole a Marshall service. Okay, so we go to Project P25, Suffolk County, and what I'm looking at here is the fact that I have an 800 simulcast system, and if I want to listen to this with one SDR, what's going to happen is if my SDR is parked on 851.0875, does that mean I can hear at the top of the band? Will I be able to hear 853.525? So that's the question we have to answer here. So again, a SDR will hear 2.04 megahertz. And the easiest way to figure this one out is you take your calculator app, right? And I'm going to do this in calc so I don't make a fool out of myself. And we're going to do 851.0875 plus 2.048. And that gives us 853.1355. That means that this frequency is outside, just north of the range that we'd be able to hear if our receiver was parked here. But if our receiver is parked in the middle, say an 852.6875, that means we can go Oh, I'm sorry. I did the math completely. Yeah, I did the math right because we're on the south end. But if we're here in the middle, here's what ends up happening. We take our middle frequency, if we're parked here on this control channel at 852.425, and we want to go north and south, right? Which means that we take our 2.048, divide that by 2, because this is now the middle frequency, and we can go down 1.02, which means we can go down at 851.405, which means we're not even getting here. And what also means is we're not going to get much further north of here, right? So we're going to get to 853, basically. So we're not going to get the whole path here. So what ends up happening is, yes, we would need 2 SDRs to monitor this site reliably, which means that one radio is going to be basically stuck on a control channel and will listen to anything they can hear within that 2.04 megahertz. The other receiver is going to then hunt out any voice channel that is outside of that locked receiver. Now, if a call also comes in that's also outside of what that second receiver is doing, you may need a third one. So there's reasons to have multiple SDRs in there. You can also set up how many voice pads each SDR can have. You could do, I think, 3 voice pads out of the gate. Minimize that, maximize that to whatever the resources are available for your setup. All right, good question, and hopefully that answers that. I felt kind of bad that we were doing this all with just a headshot tonight and not so much with me on video here. Also, while we're here, and before I get, I'm going to just roll my Patreon thanks again because I want to thank the guys that support us over on Patreon while I answer some more questions here. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up here where we are. Okay. Dylan is in. Dylan found the issue with the BCT8. Dylan asked a question on today's Ask Scanner School podcast, and he was also the winner of the free tutoring session. So I'm glad to hear he's got an answer. A bad power supply. So you were using the original Uniden power supply. It was putting out over 19 volts. Smoked it. Well, there you go. So, all right. Well, at least you found the problem. All right. Well, hopefully, you get another BCT8 and it's replaced or whatever. I've seen a couple on eBay recently, so it shouldn't be that hard to find. But I'm at least glad you got an answer to that one. All right, Joe P is in. On the Unication G5 pager, how many tone outs can you program in there? Joe, you could program in a ton of tone outs, like 999 or whatever you can put in the group list. It's amazing how many you can put in there. How many can you actually use on a single frequency? 16, I think, is the limit. How many can you use on a P25 talk group? I think is also the limit of 16, but I would have to double check that. But yeah, you can put a ton of 2 tones in there. It's just a matter of how many can you associate with a particular dispatch frequency. Christina, maybe the 7th precinct too. It's always taken down if someone puts it up. Yeah, the 7th precinct is going to be part of that. Don't worry. That's actually the one I've been playing around with. Gregory is asking, what does it mean when the scanner doesn't pick up communications anymore? Is it an antenna issue? It could be. It could be an antenna issue. It could be that, you have to make sure that antenna is all the way in, right? If the antenna popped out, it's just not really in there all the way. I actually had somebody with that problem. They complained, I don't hear anything anymore. And it turned out they didn't tighten down the bayonet on the BNC connector. Once I went to we tightened it down, boom, like magic, everything worked again. It could be that your scanner has something locked out. Is the bank locked out? Is the control channel, the trunk system locked out? Greg, I looked at your system. You're in the TX Warren area down there. You've got Simulcast on that trunk system. So are you using a scanner that doesn't play with Simulcast? Could you move the scanner around the house to see if it, starts picking things up? Okay, there you go. 325 P2. So yeah, if you have a Simulcast system, the P25 phase 2, that scanner stinks on it. Move that around the house and see if you can start picking things up if you eliminate the simulcast on it. There's 1,000 different things out there, but I would say see if you can get your NOAA weather radio. See if you can get amateur radio. Amateur radio operators, don't shut up. Trust me, I'm one of them. it's go down the basics. See if the scanner can at least pick anything up. If it doesn't pick up anything at all, yeah, you might have broken the connector on the inside where the BNC connector is, but you should at least be able to pick something up. I'm going to bet that maybe something changed on the trunk system. Maybe something got locked out. You are in Simulcast. We know that scanner does not work well in Simulcast, but go back to basics. See if you can pick up NOAA weather radio. See if you can pick up amateur radio. See if it works on conventional stuff. Then go and see if it works on the trunk systems. Let's see what else we got here coming in, because we are really starting to run out of time here. Let's see. Dave is saying it's the annoying stuff that you can't hear. I think that's in comment to something that was said, because I don't see that in there. But yeah, it is annoying when you can't hear stuff. Let's see. Do I need my SDRs? I think we answered that one. David, because you were asking, I have SDR and trunk track, so do I need a second one? So yeah, we went through that. SDR play doesn't play nice with SDR trunk. Okay, Weather. Yeah, I haven't played around with the SDR play devices with SDR trunk, so that's good to have that feedback. And I'm kind of not surprised with that, but it's just reading through some of the comments here. Some of their software works well with other things, or hardware works with other things, but a lot of it's proprietary, so they have to make the drivers and resources and get that all in there. Let's see, and that's the end of the bottom of the list on there. So going back to here. All right, we will jump into the other chat when we get over to the Patreon group. Okay, guys, so here's the deal. For everybody who caught us live tonight, I want to thank you so much for sticking around and catching us live. For anybody who caught a replay, again, leave me comments below. We'll check back during the week to answer your questions that we didn't get to answer live on the podcast. I'm going to say, ask me more questions. I have a voicemail number set up just for that. I funnel your questions in. I answer them on the podcast on the first Tuesday of every month. The number's down below. And also, there's a forum down at Ask Scanner School as well. One more thing to remember, too. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're starting to put out some videos. And I want to thank everybody who supported us over on Patreon. And with that, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast episode, released every Tuesday. And for everybody who's on Patreon, $5 a month, the conversation is going to continue. We're going over to our Zoom session right now. And for anybody who's $5 Patreon supporter, we'll see you in just a moment. For anybody else who wants to join us over on Zoom, all you got to do is go to scannerschool.com/Patreon and submit your $5 payment. You'll get access to the dashboard immediately. And in that dashboard is the invite to join us over on our Zoom session. So for everybody else, I want to say, we'll do this again next month. Enjoy your summer. Have a great one. 73. And thanks again. So with that, I have to now click over here to actually terminate the feeds. 73, everyone. Have a good